Hello, greetings, and welcome to Horrific Reviews. Obviously, it's the talk section where we talk about movies, past, present, in between, all that good stuff. We're a bit earlier today, and once again, I'm not alone. Welcome, Cameron and Adam.
Hi.
Hey.
How be life? Nice.
Well, since he's drinking, I'll answer. It's life.
It's definitely life. Not as sorrow-filled as your end of the pond, but
yeah, but you know how it is. You carry on. We're going through. Her Majesty just went through Edinburgh today, so she's in the process of moving. I think she'll be in London, arriving in London tomorrow. Then we have, I think, 3 days where basically the Palace of Westminster or something, so we can go down, pay our respects, and then I believe the official state funeral is the 29th.
Oh wow!
Damn.
Obviously, King Charles was proclaimed yesterday. The Prince and Princess of Wales was proclaimed today. So things are moving on.
Right.
And then over the next couple of weeks, we'll see all the new roles and personalities and the new structure. Because we've known this has been coming for a while,
Yeah,
but it was so sudden. It was just like, okay, Giselle, the media was just getting around to everyone's being called in because she's just taking a serious turn.
Yeah.
And then that was it. In fairness, that's the way I'd like to go.
What?
What? Drawn out just seems way too miserable.
Yeah, that's the way I'd like to go. Live as full a life as possible and then just gone.
Yeah.
That's what, it kind of makes you think, especially someone that's been with us like my entire lifetime. A lot of people's entire lifetimes. Been a constant in this country.
Yeah, I think I would rather go by werewolf.
Well, we're going to talk about that.
That's a tough one because it's like I'd almost rather become a werewolf.
Oh yes, I mean, given the option, 100%. But even then, how? Okay, let's say we're werewolves. What's the best way to go out as a werewolf?
Chasing.
I think just a silver bullet, just straight in the heart.
Did you say chased by a car?
No, chasing a car. That was.
Actually, catch a car, and then your head just goes.
Fucking Gary Busey taking you out.
Oh yes. Yeah, I want to like recreate the fucking Cycle of the Werewolf film Silver Bullet and become like a priest werewolf. And then I'm doing spoilers here if people haven't seen Silver Bullet.
If you haven't seen Silver Bullet, what the fuck is wrong with you?
And then have Corey fucking, is it Feldman or Haim?
It was Haim.
It was Haim. I get the names mixed up with the faces. Anyway, it was Corey, one of the Coreys. And then, Anna Green Gables with him killing me. I think that would be a great ending with your collar on and everything. And then you're all naked. It'd be great.
Yeah.
You can see my tiny little Willie. It'd be awesome.
Yep. So, folks, if you hadn't figured out, we're talking about a werewolf movie, Dog Soldiers. This first came out in 2002.
Nice.
I did the unboxing. I got the sort of 25th anniversary set, and it's something depressing about a movie that you went to see as an adult. It's having like its 25th anniversary. You don't mind it's when they're movies when you're a kid having like 25th, 30th anniversaries, but when we're actually getting into the territory, me anyway, of movies you've seen as an adult, making that decision to go to the cinema, and then it's coming out like you're old,
dude. That happened with Silent Hill, and that was devastating for me. I was like, "Fuck yeah, 4K or it was a 2K scan, 2-disc set." I'm like, "This is awesome." Oh, it's the anniversary. Oh, it's that anniversary.
Wait, what anniversary is that one? Because
the Silent Hill, recent. It was like
that's an old movie,
15th or something like that.
Wow,
and that was old when it came out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is messed up.
We're marching on, folks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't see this till like 3 years ago. 4 years ago is the first time I saw.
It was an indie. It was an indie movie. It was one that kind of slipped under the radar, but it's got.
It had no U.S. theatrical release at all. It was just sci-fi.
No, it was just. So. I remember just thinking, okay, there's a kooky movie. Go watch it.
Yeah.
There was no real press, no big announcement. It was just a movie. It just happened to be on, and a few of us went. before the pub, I think, and I was like, "You committed this movie, Nick? Holy shit!"
There's only a small handful of really good werewolf films. Most of them suck. Like, if we're just being honest, I mean, even like franchises like The Howling, I think are under.
Oh God,
just not as interesting.
I couldn't even get through. I watched The Howling 3.
You just picked up on that,
and I just had to stop. I'm just like fucking marsupial werewolf and pouches, fucking kangaroo hybrids, and the dialogue and the whole. Because I was going to go through this here, this was pissing me off about streaming because they try to rope you in, they put a series on, and then they'll leave one out to try and get you to buy it.
Yeah.
Or the studio will go up to some shenanigans, and everything's a mess at the moment with entertainment. Don't want to sit and spend time bitching about it. You know, part of the shows to be the solution, not the problem, if that makes sense. Try and get independent creators and get people making stuff to create a parallel economy, and not everyone relying on the fast food chain of Hollywood, because their heads are all up their arses right now, you know, and just basic, let's make something for the customer that the customer like. And they're doing all this shitty stuff and monking each other in the back, and knives are out, and then it's actually directly translating. It used to be there was a bit of a filter between what went on in the studio and then how the end product came out. Now there's no filter at all, and it's just all out there. And
well, the fucking director and writer of this certainly isn't in that line, at least in my opinion. I mean, he did The Descent, which was great too.
Dude, okay, so complete side note. I almost left my wife last night because she's like, "Who made this?" I'm like, "Oh, it's Neil Marshall." She's like, "I have no idea who that is." It's like, "Oh, it's the guy that did Descent." She's like, "Oh." I'm like, "What do you mean?"
What?
Oh. She's like, "You like The Descent?" I'm like, "You don't?" And I thought she was fucking with me. She actually did not like The Descent. That's a great fucking movie. God, I feel like
even the
we're barely
sequel
talking about that. Scared the
even the
shit
sequel
out of me.
managed to do something right. You know what I mean? The sequel had a chance to be an absolute dumpster fire, but even managed to pull it off and still keep that sort of tight drama.
Yeah,
I don't think I've seen the sequel. The
it's
first
actually
one was great.
It's the potential to be horrible, but it actually turns out to be okay.
Yeah, it's not bad.
For a sequel, that's the best you can hope for most times.
Well, and especially in that era, because that was like the direct-to-video sequels back when direct-to-video was a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just before we went online there. I was looking up, just getting some news about the new Hellraiser movie coming out, and I am partially excited and have my concerns because the director Bruckner saying it's not a reboot or a sequel, but he's also changing the way things are done.
Well, that's why I like it.
The puzzle box is no longer calling out by desire; it's by blood. The way Cenobites are created. Yeah. So do you know why? Well, it's not your hands that call out the Cenobites; it's desire. And that's why they're honing in on you.
I don't even think that it really matters as long as you figure out the box, then it opens up.
But they're now saying it's blood, so they're kind of changing that a bit, and then the way Cenobites are created is being changed, and it's like, okay, this is a potential, if it's not handled right, to be a mess. And that franchise has had the others rubbed off it. Let's be honest. It's a hurting franchise, and
I've got a really soft spot in my own little black heart for Hellraiser. But
absolutely iconic characters.
This is a huge detour if you really want to go down that path from what we're supposed to be talking about.
No, we'll get back on track in a second. That's what I love tangents, you know me.
Yeah. I mean, as long as Clive Barker's involved, which he's a executive producer in this, and he signs off on everything, as long as he's okay with it, then I'm kind of okay with the direction that they're going to try to take it. But again, it's one of those things where you're going to have people online railing against it without it even being out to see. So it may be a total piece of shit, but it may be surprisingly interesting. And until it's actually out, I don't really see a point in like bashing it or cheering it on because we just don't know.
No, we're just
well, and it's scary too, because like even with him being on board for everything, like look at The Shining, like Stephen King's The Shining.
Yeah.
Not good.
Wait, what?
Stephen King's The Shining The Mick Garris TV version.
Oh, the TV version.
Right,
that's
yes.
Stephen King's The Shining, not
Right.
The
I gotcha.
Shining.
I gotcha.
Because The
Well,
Shining, that's actually Stanley Kubrick's The Shining.
Yeah.
Well, when we talk about Stephen King, like the Lawnmower Man, like let's be honest, he threw a major hissy fit over that.
I had fun with it.
If it was direct, if the actual story that he wanted to put on, that would have been abysmal. But it turned out to be a good, solid movie, and even though you know what I mean,
well, it's just taking his story and changing it, and so of course he's going to be upset.
There needs to be a kind of balance with creatives and the business side. Do you know what I mean? But at the moment, everything is just out of kilter. There's no balance. It's almost like the Wild West, the free for all, and everyone's just. I don't know what the hell's going on, to be honest.
Well, it's weird because you have this weird balance between the studio. Their whole point is to make money. They don't care how they make the money. They just want to make the return on investment and benefit their investors. And that's it. And so once we understand that they're not doing it for political or social movements, they're doing it to speak to the widest audience that's going to bring in the most return. And whether that's if that happens to be the fans, all the more great. If it doesn't happen to the fans, they don't really give a fuck. They're just trying to make money. And you know, it's not like they're trying to give us a big hug and retell stories that we loved as kids. They don't give a fuck about us.
They want you to stick your hand in your pocket and come back again and again and again. But the problem is, because everything's just out of whack and there's no management and it's just a mess, they're not making money. In fact, a lot of these studios are in trouble because it's finally got to that point where it's starting to hit the bottom line. Now, because a lot of the companies have been running for so long, they've had that like massive cushion where they can take so many losses, but it's getting to the point now where they're hurting. You know what I mean? Starting to creep in, and a few people's heads are starting to go, what the hell's going on here?
Well, it's just funny because everybody wants to follow the Netflix model, and Netflix is notorious for having been in the red since its inception.
Netflix is on its way out. It's in trouble.
Like Netflix, well, they've been in trouble since the beginning. Like
but they're now getting to the point
make
where
enough money to support everything. And they never have. And everybody's like, oh, well, they're doing successful, so we have to follow them. And it's like, they're not doing successful.
Good luck.
They're fucked. They've been fucked ever since they stopped just mailing out DVDs.
It's such a weird business model. I'm just hoping they get returned.
No, well, my theory is streaming was the alternative to TV. People were sick of spending stupid amounts of money every month for 200 channels of absolute shite. To maybe watch one or two shows.
Yeah.
And the whole point of moving to the streaming model was to have an alternative to that and be focused on what you want. Problem is, as the TV studios started collapsing, the TV people have moved across to streaming and they've brought their shitty mentality with them. Because now streaming services are talking about different tiers and advertising and blah, 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 and making their own content. Exactly like a TV network. So they're actually going back to the model that everyone wanted away from and couldn't wait to ditch their cable subscriptions. And, you know, people would rather pay $10 a month on 2 streaming services, for example, if it showed what they wanted.
Yeah.
Rather than 20. And now we're going the same route of you need to spend $100 a month. There's like have 9 fucking streaming channels to show maybe 3 shows that you actually like. And that's why the bubble's going to burst again, and then it's going to all change. And the problem is, because these companies are so large, and they're moving at snail's pace, you know, from the board down, that they're not twigging on until the market's already gone and moved. And then they'll change course, and then they'll be catching up again, and it's just...
The thing is we're getting a lot of really good horror, specifically this year. You know, shows they're completely different than each other, but equally really genuinely good horror. And so I think because, you know, the result of COVID and people, you know, sort of getting tired of paying so much in all their different streaming channels, I think we are going to see a return to great theatrical releases and studios willing to put down money on new, interesting stories rather than trying to, you know, pull out the Marvel Disney approach of just, this is our universe and we're going to keep making movies in it because people keep paying for it. I think that's kind of on the way out. We've got some really good stuff.
The beauty of the horror genre is we've always had room for the kooky and the weird and the messaging and your standard. You know what I mean? The genre has always been big enough to have all that and explore ideas. And you have your standard, you know, your Hollywood like Malignant and all that kind of stuff. Your standard Hollywood
Oh,
out there for the masses to make the money to get your
Got a sequel
A24
coming.
movies.
There's a
Now-
sequel.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus, I
2024.
actually thought that was do you know one of those Chinese parody?
It was a
movies?
joke.
Yeah, I actually thought. See that scene in the prison cell? I genuinely thought that was a joke.
Wow.
Yeah, that was.
I thought it was a parody. I didn't realize this was a no until I saw. Do you know why Facebook throws up videos and people like put music over the top to stop the copyright and all that kind of stuff?
Right.
And I actually thought it was just a random straight to DVD B movie that they put on. I didn't realize it was a serious movie. And then it's like, I'm like, holy crap, what's going on here?
Yeah, I think Jan and I were the only people laughing in the theater when we went and saw that. That was the movie.
The writer of that that wrote it for James Wan is writing the Nun 2. So hopefully there's not any of that in it.
If Valak fucking takes her cassock off and she's got another face on the back of her head, I'm getting up, walking out, and checking out of the Conjuring universe.
Well, why do you think all those habits are so big? They got to make room for the other face.
It'd be like
Always
Manny
been
faces
there,
out of
man.
Masters Universe.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
Oh man,
I loved that toy as a kid. That was a great toy.
Oh yeah. But back to topic. This was
Let's
this was
talk
a
about
different
this
age. Really,
I'm still so blown away that I didn't see this, because this was like the era of like Blockbuster was still a thing.
Yeah.
And we used to go every single week, a group of friends and I, and rent like 3 or 4 movies a weekend and then just plow through them. So
I don't think this had a VHS release in the US. Like, honestly,
because it was 2002. We were just coming to
it
the
would have
end.
been DVD, but that would make sense.
DVD era, yeah. So we were leaving the rental store, and we called the HMV era over here because that was a chain of stores. I think it's still going, but people stopped going to the video rental store and then started buying, DVDs themselves and box sets, and that was kind of that era, early 2000s. Yeah, so people were moving away. I know I was moving away from rental stores. Like, well, why am I going to spend? Because the prices of the rentals was getting ridiculous. It was like £5 a go. And they're like, well, I can spend £5 to have it for 3 days, or I can spend £9 to buy the DVD and have it forever.
Oh, shit.
And that's kind of the way it was in the UK anyway.
Yeah.
So it was that sort of, but this one went completely under the radar, and then it's kind of become a cult classic.
For sure.
Which, I don't know, a lot of studios are short-sighted in terms of, it must make its money back immediately that weekend. And they're not thinking that, hold on, I could still be selling us the rights 20 years down the line. So I don't know, it's a bit of a balance. These movies may not...
The reason why mostly is because the executives, like, they have a short lifespan. Like, they usually only stay with a company for about 2-3 years. So it is like, right now it's opening weekend, it's immediate sales, it's immediate form.
It's my tenure must...
Yeah,
maybe when... Who knows? The world's going to shit anyway. We're all frigging each other's throats. One thing I'll be thankful for, at least the horror genre isn't like the other genres at the moment, where they're all literally at each other's throats. At least we can still have a laugh and enjoy our stuff.
Right.
And we don't mind a shit movie now and again, because that's half the fun.
Yeah. Well, and that's always been the joy of the horror genre. It's so open and so freeing. Like, nobody gives a shit. It's like when you go to that one party in high school with all the fucking nerds, and you get down into the basement, everybody's just drinking and smoking and having fun. It's good music. We all look different, but it doesn't fucking matter.
Yep.
I mean, that's what horror is.
Yeah, and this one, like, we'll start off. It's almost got a Hammer horror type vibe, with the cinematography.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's a different movie.
We call that independent. We call that independent. Because it was just pure film grain. The darks were completely too dark. I mean, it's like they took Danny Boyle's camera from 28 Days Later and then used it in fucking wherever this was filmed, like
I was in Highlands,
Luxembourg,
Scotland, just outside.
Scotland.
I was set in the Highlands, Scotland, but it looked a bit weird.
Yeah, it was filmed in Luxembourg, and so
all right.
it was supposed to be the Scottish Highlands, but it's all a lie.
It's bastards.
Fucking the magic of film. Yeah.
Everywhere looks the same.
Well, all you gotta do is you just throw a couple cows in there, and then people buy it. I bought it.
Well, the three a cow in, all right.
Literally throw a cow on you.
But we'll start off with this camping couple. Weirdest couple ever. Like they're sort of. He looks as if he's from an estate, and she's like middle class tough.
Yeah.
It's just the weirdest couple ever.
Believable in their chemistry either.
No, it was.
No. Especially that death scene.
Yeah. Yeah, no one says anything. There's like no screaming, no nothing. It's just they're like, oh, someone's opening our tent. Like, say, get the fuck out of here. What are you doing? I got a gun. Like, say something.
Right.
The way the
even if
zipper
it's
went
a
up.
bear, start kicking and punching. Like, no,
Yeah.
they're just like, so dumb.
Well, then there's only just the one at the end when she snaps. Yeah.
I think I'd have something to say if I was getting ripped in half. Just I think I'd have a word or two.
Every woman I've ever ripped in half has always screamed the whole time.
Yeah, I know. It's
Beginning to end.
That's half the fun.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we do it.
Just kidding people. I don't kill people. It's a joke.
They mean everything to say. We can't differentiate on the internet. So
I
usually watches this anyway. So
I usually go for vertically versus horizontally, like the werewolf. Like I feel like you just get more out of it when you do it like the Art the Clown style. Just saying.
Yeah, okay.
There's another tangent. We're not going on another tangent.
We have reached our capacity of tangent.
well, we need at least 10 minutes of actual content. And then we're gonna have another wee tangent in a bit. I'll put a little tangent break. I'll put a little flash.
You need a timer, dude.
Oh my god, that'd be hilarious.
An hourglass
timer in the corner.
Don't give me ideas.
People, it's time.
And it's just weird the way this goes. Right, the most cheesiest scene, but we'll have to introduce the silver letter opener because that's important to the plot. And I may as well have the neon sign. That's
Of
so
all
hilarious.
obscure ways to bring about all the way until the end of ways to kill a damn werewolf. Weird.
Womp, womp, womp.
Right.
Weird. Just
It's
like,
funny
pay
though,
attention to this. It's important.
But there is a campiness to this movie that's not trying to take itself too seriously.
I don't know.
With serious parts.
I have a hard time with that because it seems like I don't think any campiness found in it. I'm not entirely sure it's intentional.
Yeah, I gotta agree with
British
that.
humor.
Yeah. Is it?
It was fun.
It's British gallows humor. And it's a bit hard for people to take, but there is a dark campiness. And listen, we're having fun with this. Don't forget, he originally called the title "Werewolves versus Soldiers." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how much I just want soldiers going
it's
against
taken
werewolves.
so. I think the direction of the film is taken so straight. Like the way I watched it, it was just like, this is the situation, this is the setup, and all of the humor comes directly from the interaction between the squad, which I thought was so brilliant. I love, because it does really feel like, brothers in arms who just like to fuck with each other. They don't, outside of the squad sensibility, they probably wouldn't really hang out all that often, but inside of it, they're reluctant combatant brothers. And I don't know. I really liked it.
It's quintessential British Army
service. Yeah.
In the British Army, you have all the weird, and even he did it with the accents. You have everybody from all over the country, nothing in common, and you just have to muck in and get along. And this weird sort of banter, it's that thing. He might be an arsehole, but he's our arsehole. That was always the saying.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I was the arsehole, being there. I'll admit to that.
I'm with it. I was right there too. Yeah.
But that's just it. But this goes from, and I have problems with sort of military jargon and tactics because it's like generic Hollywood Americanized, which a bit of research we can sort a lot of that out. But then we go to Cooper on SF selection, supposedly, and That was the weirdest, cheesiest fucking.
I love that actor, Kevin McKidd. My goddamn, that guy is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he
think
pulled out of the bag, but the whole scenario of everyone's up.
Oh, the evasion and escape.
What it is? Yeah, they've taken the 80s image of the SAS at the Iranian embassy, and that's become like the poster child. That they think everyone in the SAS just dresses up in fucking black all the time, is about to kick doors in, but it's.
I mean, why would
they actually wear uniform? You know what I mean? They are soldiers at the end of the day.
Right.
And it's this thing about in the UK as well, especially because you can tell civvies written this story. The death squads, there's this thing that's went around that there's army death squads. It's like, no, because I've tried to join and I've asked about the death squad. Nobody would let me in. I'd have fun. Like
I could not kill a dog. I couldn't do it.
No,
I thought that was over the top and ridiculous. And I was just like, why would that ever be a thing? Like, why would you
want to make Captain Rannout to be the mustache twirling Bond villain? That's
that's that gal's humor. I think
I'd get executed because I'd be pulling that gun on the motherfucker, telling me shoot.
Here's the thing as well,
especially after he fucking pulled the trigger.
Yeah,
how do you not jump on that motherfucker?
Yeah,
I've worked with army dog handlers, right? You do out their dog and they're ripping your throat out.
Yeah,
well, that's a
army dog handlers
for fuck's sake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is 100% trained, living with the handler.
Mm-hmm.
There's no joke about that shit.
Especially because this is where it's completely not the British Army, because we have regimental mascots, and for example, the Royal Irish Regiment, Irish Wolfhound is the mascot. What are we on now? Brambaroo, the freaking 9th, I think. You know what I mean? Because the pass down the title. So when the dog goes, it's the next. It's the Welsh have a pony. There's a goat. You know what I mean? And you're actually a soldier is detailed.
Wild.
A soldier is detailed to look after the mascot. That's actually a regimental duty.
Wow.
And that duty is taken seriously.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
As it fucking should be.
If you went and fucked with a regimental mascot, you'd be dead. You wouldn't be there.
Mm-hmm.
And the same with dog handlers. Dog handlers are one with their animal, and you do not. You know what I mean? It's a specific sort of person goes in. You don't. It's a soldier at the end of the day. They're given a rank, and a number.
Oh God, even police dogs, like, they don't fuck around. Like, I almost got arrested once for assaulting an officer because I tried petting a fucking police dog.
Yeah, you don't fucking
like, I had a gun pointed at me.
Holy shit.
It's like we still have full-on cavalry regiments. And you mess with the horses. I remember I was in Scotland in a cavalry barracks, and of course, a couple of beers. I'm going to pet the horses. Because that's what you do. You're like, oh, I got an apple from the cookhouse. I'm going to give the horsey and pet it. Chin to the face.
The thing is, like, the entire premise of shooting the dog was to prove his loyalty to that unit. But that doesn't make any sense. There's no world exists where that would be the loyalty test. And so it's so out of left field that it just forces you to go like, who the fuck are these people? Is this even really a unit? Like, this is more like a terrorist organization than an actual military, like, official unit. That's ridiculous.
It's like some cult shit.
Yeah.
The requirements for selection are at least 1 tour. And plus, and a bit pisses me off later, Cooper's a full screw. He's a section commander. He's full corporal. That's a section commander. That's a high, because our rank structure is completely different as well from yours. So, but if you're a full corporal, you're a section commander. You are you're a seasoned soldier. You're a commander. You're in charge of others. That's not even a question. Plus, 90s that have done Northern Ireland, Bosnia, Iraq 1, which Sarge brings up. The British Army is like the most seasoned. You don't join the British Army and just be a camp rat. That's not been a thing. Especially late 90s when everything just started getting cut the ribbons. There wasn't a manpower. There's no rear echelon. There is, but there isn't, because you're there. So the idea of needing to do that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And plus, even on ops, fucking, how many dogs get brought back from Iraq and Afghanistan? Guys go out, set up a fob, there's stray dog that becomes the troop dog, and and basically what happens is it gets passed to the next unit, and then eventually last unit brings the dog home. That's the number of dogs that come back to the UK from countries. It's just completely antithesis, but they're setting up the Bond villain. You know, that's this guy doesn't understand the military, and he might have been better. It's a great horror movie. The military side of things is where it's really lacking.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been just as effective if it was a football team. You know, I mean, the military element didn't add anything. Like they used it as this glue of why all these different people are working together and why they're supposed to be working together so efficiently, and that the entire thing was just one big setup that they were just the bait for. But none of it logically makes sense. It would have been better if it was just a group of friends who were just doing a backpacking tour, and then they ran across this insanity that they end up running across. It would have been just as effective.
Yeah, because they like the weapons that they used throughout the film. Those weren't even the weapons they fucking started off with. Like they could have just ran across a crazy woods person's stash.
In fairness, because that was the time of the SA-80 A1. If I was given half a chance to ditch that weapon, we called it the civil servant because it didn't work and you couldn't fire it. The A1 was horrendous. It was bang bang jam, fucking bang bang jam. Because
I've identified in training with that guy unable to get a round out of that fucking gun. Like I've been there where you're like doing all your fucking field, you know, just trying to get your fucking weapon working right because it's clearly not cleaned properly in order to jam like that.
No, it was the springs. It was actually because the spring, the actual ejector spring wasn't strong enough, so it kept never pushed thing. The fucking magazine was made out of fucking aluminium, so it always bent and warped. And it was actually falling out. The fucking actual Sears never fitted properly. It was a strange time because it was the end of Lee Enfield. It was like their last weapon in production before the company went bust. And it was just an absolute shit show. But then Heckler and Koch actually got the contract, and then they made the A2, and then things just moved on from there.
Nice.
But yeah, the A1 was a absolute shit show. Fucking horrendous. So yeah, any squad was like, woof. Plus they were firing blanks, you know what I mean? It was an exercise. We'll have to talk about the helicopter.
Yeah, okay.
Fucking civilian helicopter with an RAF fucking logo with army along the side. You're like, what the fuck is this?
I thought it was gonna have like a news camera hanging out of the side of it or something.
It was, and then everyone falling out the helicopter. You practice helicopter drills, and it's
you're supposed to rappel out of it. Like, did they rappel or did they just jump?
No, it depends on the thing. But fast rope ones, you wouldn't get fast ropes in that helicopter anyway. But generally, like the Wessexes, just land, everyone bounces out, job done. I don't know why they weren't able to get a Wessex.
I don't know.
For the price, it probably cost them to fucking put the decal on the side, like the stupid decal that didn't even make sense, because there is Army Air Corps. So why they had the RAF logo and fucking Army on a civilian helicopter fucking made no sense.
Well, this is why it's really important to have a military veteran on site during your screenwriting and during your filming so that they can tell you how to properly do this stuff. It's not expensive to do it. You could hire literally almost any veteran and they'll steer you in the right direction.
Volunteer. I mean, that's volunteer to do it just for a bit of fun. I'm just sick and tired of, I was going to say His Majesty's Forces now. Always
that's going to take a minute to get used to.
Yeah, it's still wrapping my head around that. But His Majesty's Forces, they were never shown right on TV or movies, and it's this thing in British culture of this embarrassment of our forces. Rudyard Kipling put it across really well with his poem Tommy. You know, they're disdained by the public for the British squaddy.
Really?
And it's come across in movies and films, and we've never had a fair shot or represented properly.
Dunkirk, was that not?
That was Peter Jackson.
Okay.
But
what?
Okay, the modern British squaddy, there was this era of Pinewood movies, you know, like the 20s and 30s or the World War II ones, like early 50s. That was kind of the last of an era where forces, like, there's still this romanticism about that era, and they forget what's all come after.
Yeah.
Now, in the small screen, there's been some decent shows. But generally, we get a bum deal. And it's really annoying.
Yeah, I don't really see it on our side of that, because I know that we intentionally tell filmmakers in America, whenever there's a military correspondent on the site, they change things intentionally so that you can't just watch a movie and then put on a uniform that looks correct and then, walk into a base or something. We intentionally fuck our shit up so that it's not obvious what it should look like.
Oh, there's an element with that, but at the same time, there's stuff that is out in the media. It's not secret. You know what I mean? There's like there's certain terms and all, like you don't use. That's understandable, Official Secrets Act, but at the same time, we can still be represented without looking like a bunch of clowns.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You should be able to.
In
What's
theory,
the problem?
yeah. Although half the shit I've done, so I can't really, like, when you're on exercise and you give, like, when I was at the tank, we went out with the CVRTs, the gas canisters on the armored vehicle, each one of those can hold 3 cans of beer each. So you fucking, you know what I mean? You fuck out the smoke dischargers, cans of beers each, rubber cap on the top. When you get to your harbor location, they're nice and cold because they've been out,
That's brilliant.
Oh god, there's just the bigger the exercise, the more you fuck about, actually, rather than the other way around.
And I wonder why people don't take your army seriously.
Right.
You're all fucking around.
I might have just disproved my own argument. Oh, fuck,
Yeah.
Oh god, there's this time we were absolutely stupid. And we actually all got put in charge because we were the only unit. We fucking sneaked in cases of beer. And everyone's getting ready to go out like fucking night maneuvers. We're fucking staggering the place. What do you got cam cream on for?
Yeah, we were much more subtle. We would just put like a 5th in our pack. And that way no one knows anything until everyone's gone and we're just in our tent, and then we whip it out.
I've had wine and cheese parties on top of hills because it's like, right, how are we gonna fuck about this time? Because you're just like, what's the baddest thing you can do?
Let's be classy this time, guys.
Oh, that's great.
Tablecloth, fucking cheese, the plastic little.
Damn, that's classy.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe he is accurate. Sorry, I retract myself.
There's a few minor things that aren't accurate, but the rest pretty goddamn spot.
Yeah. Then we jump. Obviously, we see the guys are, like I said, fucking that whole helicopter. Just, I still can't get over it. It's like, what the fuck is that? But guys are out doing a wee bit of bomb bursts and all that kind of stuff. Look at them as why the fuck has the Sarge got all his pouches in the front and not in the back?
Because he's lazy.
Because when you go down your belt buckle, that's where you're going to lie. You know what I mean? That's why you have your pouches in the back. But he's got all his pouches along the front. And his back is completely clear. And you're like, who the fuck put that together?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, also just... No, it definitely does not seem comfortable. I mean, but even like sometimes it depends on what you're carrying, and where you carry it and stuff. I mean, however...
Well, if you're doing vehicle drills, you have a chest rig, you know what I mean? You have it to the front. But he had all his pouches in the front. Like a bum pack.
Maybe he's a fan of fanny packs. I mean, he's just like, I gotta relive this. This is my life. This is what I do. Yeah, I don't know. Like little things like that. It's only like a minor issue, as long as like the character, like script writing is okay and the actors are pulling their weight as far as the character. I can overlook little things like that, because again, we intentionally change the way you're loaded out and it looks in order to sort of just make it a little more difficult for people to fake it. But I loved that campfire scene where they're just all telling jokes and stories and reminiscing and stuff. It was just so realistic.
Oh, well, what scares you?
Yeah.
It's like, man, that was a hell of a scene.
Women.
Yeah. Just going to get the 1,000 yard stare. Went from jokey to serious and then fucking straight back on the jokey again, the old gallows humor. And as you've been in that environment, people don't get that. That's the way it is. You can be deadly serious one second, then just jump and make a joke out of it.
I loved it. I missed that stuff so much. I mean, we have great, the three of us have great, back and forth. And, whenever we were hanging out in person when you were over here, it was always a lot of fun. And that's the kind of vibe that I always had with my soldiers when I was in. And you kind of miss that, when you don't see it.
Nobody talks about the worry stuff. It's all the fucking about, you know what I mean? That's what makes it. Nobody, always beware, folks. If somebody says they're a veteran and they just go straight into talking about worry stuff and what they've seen and they've seen too much, they've seen fuck all then, because that's not the talk.
You're right. You're 100% right.
That's a Walter Mitty. You know what I mean? Everything we talk about is all the fucking about the stupid shit that we've done, because that's what makes it. That's what makes it bearable. Like, these guys effectively were pulled out of normal routine, and that's what the whole setup was, because Captain Rand's a little bitch apparently, because he got a bit of a slap in the face. So he's going to hold a forever grudge. That's kind of not how special forces work. You know, the whole point is to not be like that and not react. In fact, that whole escape and evasion, they're brought in, they're interrogated, they're stripped naked, and the whole point is not to react. And I'm not telling anything secret from guys, you know what I mean? It's all in documentaries and stuff. That's where blokes have broken, because they've done all the, the physical shit, and then they've been stripped naked, and some woman's come in and made fun of his penis, and then he's actually tried to, choke her out, because that thing. But then that's instant failure.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Fuck, who doesn't have their penis made fun of by women when you're naked? I mean,
but these are people that have, at that point, are at the stage of exhaustion. They haven't slept, they're eating, they're being chased, because what they do is they give other units incentives. They're not chased by the fucking SF themselves. That's what fucks the whole thing up. They give like the parachute regiment. All right, you catch one of these guys, you get a weekend's leave.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they actually incentivize troops, and it's not bog standard. It's the Paras Marines. You know what I mean? It's the guards.
That's cool. Yeah, troops. Over here there's dedicated trainers to do stuff like that.
No. What you do is you just give. But what's more incentive? What's the enemy going to be like? Because they're already in a sterile environment of a training thing. But if you get a bunch of blokes and you're like, all right, you catch one of these fuckers, give them a bit of a shoeing, you get a weekend's leave. Fucking right. And then somebody there is probably jealous because they haven't had a chance to go, or they might have tried once and failed. And you know what I mean?
Wow, that is so different than.
So they actually literally set fucking real. You know what I mean? It's about realism. So that's the way it's done over here. Is the fucking just right lads, go catch every one of these bastards you catch. You get the weekend's leave. Fucking have at it. You know what I mean?
God damn, that's interesting.
So, look up SF Selection UK. I
believe you. I'm not.
No, but it's out there. It's out there on YouTube, and I'm nothing. I'm just a big fat waster. I'm not trying to say I'm anything. But I've seen the documentaries. I've spoken to some blokes, because you don't be in for a long time and not meet anybody. It's horrendous. It's you know what I mean. It's there's a reason why they're the best. But this was kind of made into a bit of a joke parody, fucking Bond villain type stuff.
Yeah. And then when they do finally run up on that special unit, I thought it was really weird. Like, there was no bodies anywhere. Like, it seems like every time a werewolf got a hold of a body in this, they like liquefied them. Like, do you guys remember?
We'll find out later on.
I mean, there was a pack of them, so yeah. I mean,
but we'll find out later on. Do you remember the very end scene in the basement?
Right. Yeah, we saw the bodies and stuff, which was actually like those bodies were hanging around from something else. I made a note about it somewhere. Oh, Event Horizon. Those corpses in the basement were originally created for and used in Event Horizon.
That's so
recycle, reuse.
Dope as hell, yeah.
Be environmentally friendly. Why not? I always wonder what the sets and stuff to build with movies. What does happen? Though, very very small percent actually gets sold to nerds, but it seems like an awful waste
to keep it.
Usually, sets just get completely destroyed.
Yeah, it seems like an awful waste.
I was thinking like the monsters and stuff.
Oh, well, yeah, shit like that. Yeah, it's usually people that worked on it. That's why you'll see stuff pop up on auction sites, 5-10 years after the movie's release.
Yeah, this film is filled with homages and references to the director's favorite films. Like, it is everything from just tons of name drops like H.G. Wells and Bruce Campbell and stuff, to like settings and situations of, you know, this sort of survival in the house in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, I mean, straight up, we almost, like, if it was down like another 1.5 feet, we'd get a Sam Raimi shot when the werewolf is running through the woods.
Oh
like,
yeah,
that's
the
straight up
the
Evil Dead.
infrared vision, and all you need is a
Yeah. Love this.
So
stuff,
good.
though.
So
this,
good.
I think that's the thing as well. It is a love letter movie, and that's why there's this sort of campy element to it. But thankfully, manages to keep it well reined in. To make it is actually a tight drama. Like the characterizations in this are fantastic.
Well, the thing is like as soon as they get to the actual building, like the house or whatever you call it, what do you call a house? Like the entire interaction between the sergeant and Private Cooper and putting his stomach back together.
Corporal
that was
Cooper.
fantastic.
Hilarious.
That's a bit that pissed me off because he's a corporal. He's a full screw. He wasn't a private. It was fucking rad.
Like the way I interpreted it was,
dude,
he was
he's wearing
down
fucking
because of
tapes.
it.
He's got his fucking rank slide on. Why you? What the hell?
Yeah, they clearly did not pay attention to that part of it at all. But like the actor really got drunk for that scene. Like he was
Really?
straight
Sean
up
Pertwee,
yeah,
he's an amazing actor.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's been in tons of great stuff.
I reviewed another. He was in another werewolf movie. I reviewed it a couple of weeks ago. There, Howl, where he's only in it for like 30 seconds. You're like, what the fuck? What a waste.
Maybe he wasn't getting paid enough.
I don't know. I was like, here, do you want a few quid just to be a train driver for 30 seconds and get eaten? It's like,
fuck yeah.
But that's he's definitely the glue. You know what I mean? He's the Sarge, respected. Brilliant role. It's like he's poured into it.
Well, that Cooper's moment where he was like talking to Private Cooper at the very end when he knew he was changing, and he was like, "Look, I'm a fucking professional soldier. Like, I know what I have to do. I have to take care of myself, and you need to let me." Every time you see that type of scene where a soldier is going to sacrifice himself in one way or another for the better of his brothers and sisters in arms, it always gets me. This one didn't get me emotionally, but it got me to the point where he was like, I am a professional soldier. I know what I have to do. And it's just like, yeah, this is what civilians never understand about the military. Like, we are in there to do a job, and yes, we're going to fuck around while we're doing it, and yes, we're going to be busting balls while we're doing it with each and every one of our brothers and sisters.
But once shit gets real, once it's serious,
we are in 100%, and we will do anything we can to make sure the mission gets finished, including, unfortunately, sacrifice ourselves. It's a reality, and you don't understand the gravity of it if you've never been in any of those situations. And I loved that they had just that little interaction in it.
Yeah.
But even like there's two strands. That's like the whole military side, and you can unpick that. But the actual story as a horror movie, it's so well done. Like we'll kind of jump forward there a bit, but when the first encounter, the cow just fucking falls.
That shit is so goddamn funny. And I love how they unload their fucking weapons on it. Like, that was, it's dead. And you're shooting blanks. What the fuck?
The blanks is the best.
And plus, he has it on auto. You don't have your weapon on auto. That's a big fucking no. That's an ND. Unless you're going to do assault and you've been told weapons do automatic. That's always in single repetition. So this whole brrr is just. God. Sorry,
that's my huge pet peeve with
and fucking Sweeney with his finger on the trigger as well. It's like, what the fuck?
There's. I just don't see, if you've been trained and you're in this unit doing field training, supposedly, you would not act like that. Like, you may be terrified, you have blanks in your fucking gun, your rifle, that no matter what you do, nothing's going to come out the other end because you have the fucking end cap on it for safety. Why are you freaking out and shooting it in the first
place? Those things can do. I've got splattered in the face one of those, and they actually hurt. And if you actually take the BFA off, if you take the BFA off, that can actually destroy. Have you ever seen the thing with the Coke can?
Yeah.
So fucking, if there's no BFA on, put the end with a blank, boom, things disintegrated. That was one of the safety things you're shown.
But but that's why they have both of it. It's a blank and it has the end cap on it because it's a dangerous situation. But
Yeah, I mean,
he
it's still a
knew it was no
projectile.
longer dangerous. So why? It goes. It's like a character, a light shining on his particular character and how he thinks, and he follows through with that sort of goofy behavior later in the film anyway. So
Yeah.
maybe it's just a setup, but it was just weird to me. I was seeing it too.
Yeah, but it's just funny that like after the initial shock, like, all right, okay, I want to know where those cows come from. I'm curious, and we're going that way anyway. Let's go have a look.
Yeah.
and the flipping Bruce first casualty, like how fast you have to run to impale yourself on the train
Dude,
in the sharp.
I was laughing my ass off. I'm like, man, you don't get too many of those Tucker and Dale versus the evil kills like that.
That's like old school Friday the 13th type stuff.
Yeah.
Like just ridiculous. You throw them against a tree and they get impaled on it, like stuff. Or they're in a sleeping bag and you're beating them to death against a tree.
Oh God, one of the
We're having
best
pre-marital
cinematic
sex.
kills ever.
Come join us.
So ridiculous.
Weird.
It's
all that kind like there's all this kind of goofy stuff, but at the same time, you're in. You know what I mean? You're in. You're having fun with us. The whole thing with a unit and they're friggin' being like the whole radio drills and stuff and the seeing things shred apart, and then that's finally when they start going, oh shit, right, run, get the hell out of there.
Well, they even after like they rescued the Sergeant Wells, and then they're heading like suddenly they get all like attacked by a bunch of werewolves. They can see them in it was daytime or dusk or early dawn or something. It was light when they were running around and stuff. But later on, they're saying that they changed back in the dawn, so that didn't make any sense. But then the whole idea of them not believing when they finally get to the house that it was werewolves, while just one scene earlier they were watching the werewolves attack them.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Well, I think that was just, trying to rationalize, like, there's no way werewolves aren't fucking real. I didn't see that. It's just some crazy guy in the woods.
Yeah.
That's how I took
really
it.
long hair.
Yeah.
They didn't make like a weird comment, like, it's just some weirdo with, wild people out here or something. But it's like, no, they have big snouts.
And there's some reference to escaped. There's always an escaped lunatic. It's like,
escaped lunatics. That's what it was.
Where do they escape from? What's the fucking security like in these fucking high maximum security psychiatric facilities?
There must have been tons of escaped patients from insane asylums back in the day for that to be a trope. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
No, that's what this guy. I think he kind of misses the mark a bit, but the characters keep you going along with the movie. And the characterization is what keeps you going along. If this was
Megan, kept me going on.
Did you notice her boobs got bigger?
Yeah.
Well,
I didn't notice they got bigger. I just noticed that she went into a white wife beater, and I was just like,
just kept getting more and more exposed.
Even the first scene, like they weren't pronounced, and then they just started getting like, hello, because you know me, I've stated officially in this show that I like boobs, and I will mention them at every opportunity.
No.
I think I can agree with you on that. Big fan right here. Big fan.
But what did you think of Meg when you first met her? As in,
I just thought she was a random person. I didn't think she was like what she ends up being. I didn't think that she was actually like a scientist or anything. I just thought she was a random person driving. And then she was like, get in. I was like, wait, what? How the fuck does she know they're getting chased? You run across a bunch of soldiers running through the woods. I would not think, hey, get in my car, guys. I would think, let them finish their shit and I'll move along.
I mean, maybe she has like some sort of gangbang fantasy and was like, maybe.
Funny enough, a couple of months ago, 3 Para were stood down from operations because they smartly posted pictures of a gangbang online and the cuts. Somehow that warranted their CEO not sending them an ops. If that's what they had to do to get off. Yeah, it was a whole thing.
Sounds like a whole thing.
There's some lovely girls live around army bases. Very accommodating women, and it's been well known that they get.
As long as it's consensual, man. That's all.
Yeah, that's well known. It's happened loads of time. But these guys, of course, filmed it and they stuck it on. I don't know what site, but they stuck it, and you see their faces, and you see it's in the barracks, and they can recognize it.
Oh man!
And then, obviously, because it got out, they got their deemed not operational.
That's
I would say
fucking
they're very
funny.
operational.
Watch the
Yeah,
film.
I mean,
I'm
it's-
operating.
Yeah. Exactly.
My gun's loaded, baby.
Oh god.
And I mean, just aside, like, why the fuck wouldn't you, like, if you are filming and you know you're gonna post it, why the fuck wouldn't you wear a balaclava? Like, come on, or at least a fake mustache, like just something to
fucking
throw
Ron
people
Jeremy
off your
type stuff.
Yeah.
scent.
I'd do a
the
fucking
hell?
Burt.
Are those do you know the
Burt
ones
Reynolds?
with the photographs
Burt
you
Reynolds
put over the
one,
top?
Yeah.
Them type of face masks, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that though
Soldiers
that
don't
happened.
really think that far ahead, though. You know,
No, it's like
Fair.
this is a good idea, lads.
they're kids in most
5
cases.
minutes later, you're doing it. You know.
Yeah. You're just like, this is awesome, man. You know, doing the devil's triangle high five and shit. And like, this is gonna be great. Let's put this online. Yeah, let's do it. And then the next day, you're like, oh shit. Fuck, I should have types. Hope no one sees it. That's what we do.
What's the worst death in this?
The worst death.
Worst
What's yours,
death. Let
Cameron?
me go back over. I mean, other than the dog being executed at the beginning.
For absolutely no reason.
Yeah, that's
Fuck,
probably the worst death.
What's the worst
I
human
mean,
death?
The worst, I mean, Bruce, because it's just like, how fucking stupid can you be? It's like he killed himself. He didn't even get killed by a fucking werewolf.
Yeah, he did himself on. I would go for Terry because he didn't get the day immediately.
Mm-hmm.
He got
right.
abducted.
He was tortured. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they actually
Totally
used him as bait.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a little rough. And then to throw the head at him.
Yeah, that was not. These werewolves are twisted, and actually, Meg brings it up that they live for the hunt. It's actually a ritual.
Yeah.
So you've actually got a
totally
thinking
get.
pack who are out the, a bit of an homage to the Deadites, to be honest. You know that we're not just going to eat and kill; we're going to fuck with people too. Because
your soul. Yeah. Yeah, the Deadites are pretty messed up. Just in general.
They're pretty quirky.
Yeah. I don't know, like all the deaths, I would rather see it as like the best death rather than like the worst, because none of them, in my opinion, are particularly tragic because it's just the film they're in. But I think the best death, it's got to be when they're like mushy mutilating them and shit. Like the best one was at the very end when he's like boxing.
oh, Spoonie, yeah,
werewolf.
Fuck yeah.
Spoonie, I hope I give you the shits.
Yeah. Oh my god, that was. Oh my god. Yeah. So I'm watching it. I get to that point probably a little around midnight because I had to keep taking breaks. Dude, I was trying so hard not to just laugh my ass off and wake my wife up, because that was just. It's like, okay, that alone was worth buying this fucking movie.
Yeah. He was awesome. If it wasn't for the second werewolf, that's how shitty the werewolf was, where he had to get his teammate to ambush him from the side. He was going to win. He was going mental.
It was so good. It was
proper
so
windmill
good.
and everything, just not giving a shit. Just fuck yeah.
Well, and then when they back up the second vehicle to the front of that door, and he realizes there's a guy right behind him, a werewolf, and he's just like,
and the smoke
come on! And he jumps back there. I was just like, yeah.
And that's what puts me off.
If it's like you're gonna go out, might as well be cool.
Yeah,
that's the way it would have been. So the whole bit at the start where they're freaking out and stuff, was a bit weird. Because once again, the whole British attitude is, come on then.
Yeah, I do think there was a progression of them thinking this is just a shitty training situation that they just sort of ran over weird things, and then at the end they're like, we're gonna fucking die, so let's go out swinging.
Yeah, just
like, this is it.
Have at it. That's where I'm like on board going, yes, because that's exactly, every bar fight, every fucking just come on then.
Like, it's coming. I'm getting hit, so let's go. Let's just let's get into it.
You just release all inhibitions. That's towards the end is brilliant. Sarge's death was quite decent.
I liked it. Yeah.
Like,
I like the chasing through the house. I thought that was so great. And they're like breaking through walls and floors, and like they used that house.
Yeah.
Brilliantly.
The house was a character itself,
oh, definitely.
One of the amazing things the way they did it. And even having the model stuff, to blow up. Just there's a amount of thought. There's thought put into this that isn't put into today's movies, and that's what I miss.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
what I mean,
depending on the
there's a
film,
love
yeah.
and care of I want this, I want the tension, I want it to work.
Well, talk about something that you don't realize until the very end was when they revealed that there was corpses hanging in the basement. That stew they were eating that they thought tasted like pork was fucking human.
I mean, it's just long pork.
Yeah, I can't remember the word for long pig. But that's the cannibalistic tribe still about today, and they refer to man as long pig. And there's a word, and I can't. I keep meaning to look it up, and I forget.
Your search history is going to be.
When we don't see him for the next episode, that's why.
Yeah, somebody's the pass one of these stupid laws where you can't be a psycho one. I'm just researching.
I love that. Yeah, no, I love the way they set up the house because it was built just to be destroyed, and that is clear at the very end when they do destroy that fucking thing.
Fuck yeah, there's nothing left.
Every single room in that house so well with the fighting. It was just so great. I loved it.
It really was.
What about the reveal that Meg was actually a prisoner of the pack? And then when we see the scene where she cuts herself, that's her becoming part of it. Did that work or did it not?
Oh yeah, I bought it.
I'm on the fence about this one.
I don't think I understood that. I must have not been paying attention or something. I always thought she was always a part of it.
She was, yeah, but she wasn't a werewolf. She was a human captive.
Oh, I'm an idiot.
And it was the scene where she cuts herself, and when who was it got pulled out the window? Terry gets pulled out the window, and she cuts her. No, was it Terry or when Joe comes back up the rope?
No, it's Terry.
Was it Terry when he got pulled out the window?
Yeah, because she goes to look out the window and gets stuck.
All right, yeah, I was right the first time. Yeah, that's where she starts turning into a werewolf herself. I think that's what because it's quite obvious with its tropes and it's look here, like the letter opener. So that was kind of obvious, the setup. But the fact that she was held as a human captive, supposedly by this werewolf pack.
See, I didn't get that. She's part of the family.
I thought it was
like she took the family photo of them. Like she's the part of the pack. Like.
But this is a bit I'm confused because I thought you were the rescue mission. I thought you were coming to get me away from this, blah, blah, blah. And then she kind of went into and it wasn't really fully fleshed out dialogue that she was a werewolf.
Now you got me second guessing.
That's why I'm asking because it's like, it's very strange the way they put it. They put her initially hinting because the dialogue was very clear that she was held captive because if she's a well-known member of the pack, her dialogue wouldn't have been like that. And it only changed at the end as she's about to transform.
Yeah, I thought it was an abrupt change at the very end when she was like, "No, actually, I'm the bad guy." Yeah. I thought that was awkward and uncomfortable and really unnecessary. Like you don't need that. You could just have her killed and solve the same, have the same film without it changing at all.
Yeah,
it's weird that
it's the only part that kind of
drew them in order to have the werewolves tear apart their own house to kill them.
Yeah, when they already had them banged to rights in the woods.
Yeah, that was the weird part. Like you can just have her be a victim, and it makes sense. You make her a werewolf, suddenly it doesn't make sense because you're shitting where you eat.
This is the only bit that takes me out of the movie, and that's why I wanted to talk about it because it's just it's jarring the way the had her. And then she knew the Captain Rand because she'd been there before. And they were like trying to tie a lot of bits up with her character. It was almost like they were struggling to give her agency, where her being, as you said, just a random person going through the neighborhood. I'm drawn into this madness, and just the fact she had a vehicle made her useful was enough.
Yeah,
but it was like they were trying to give her character a bit too much agency that wasn't required.
Yeah.
That's the only bit that really pulled me out, and it's a shame because there's nothing wrong with her character. Her character was brilliant, and she dealt with, everything as a strong character. So I don't know where this all came from.
Yeah, I felt like I missed something because at the beginning it's like, that's just a random house she came on, and then at the end, that was her house and all that, and it's like, huh, how much have I had to drink?
I don't remember.
I guess I missed something.
It does feel like the writer was like, look, we need a twist. How do we throw a twist in there? And someone was like throwing out like, oh, how about we do this? Or how about let's just make her a bad guy. He's like, okay, yeah, let's see if we can write that in and subtly drop it and stuff. It just didn't really land well for me. But I don't know. I don't think it needed it.
Yeah, like I said, it's the only part of this movie that took me out because her character was great. Her character was fine. It fitted in. She had purpose. She interacted as part of the team. She didn't all of a sudden become a flipping, spinning Mary Sue badass soldier in like the space of 20 seconds. I mean, she stayed as her character and was still useful and still had a purpose. And then that bit at the end was just weird. And the bullet to the head thing, it was funny.
Yeah.
Like roar, doof, right? Okay, that's Meg done with.
How did you guys feel about the transformations being off screen, off camera?
It kind of makes sense considering the budget.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. We should probably point this out because it's really important. This is all practical. There's no CGI in this film. And you could argue that it's because it's independent, but it's also intentional. They the filmmaker did not want to do any CG at all.
Well, I mean, this is 2002. Like, this is an era before CGI became what it is. So, I mean, it makes perfect sense that he wouldn't want to do anything like that. And it was so much more beautiful for that. Like, all the ultra slime and shit. Like, anytime I see ultra slime, it just kind of makes my nipples hard. It's like, oh, they care.
I've got a present idea.
Yeah.
And I think as well, the only bad thing about old sort of practical effects was the paint. If you look at the stuff, like that transformation took how long? You're like, come on, does he change it? Does it come out of his mouth? That's the whole thing with transformations, that unless of a big budget, is going to look horrendous and slow. So by doing it off camera, bringing it back, you remove that awkwardness.
Yeah.
Which they did well.
And realistically, after American Werewolf in London, like,
there's the bar.
How do you do better?
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, Silver Bullet did a wonderful job with transformations, and it was almost all practical and just camera manipulation. And so it can be done. And I guess the reason why I bring it up is because part of the werewolf trope is the transformation sequence. Like, they did it back with Wolfman, all the way back in the day with the Universal stuff. And though, again, that was camera playing.
That was fading,
fading. Still, like, that element of it is as important to the werewolf film as the werewolf getting killed in the end. I mean, it's a really important part of the entire trope. For them not to show it, I think it was smart, and I think they did a beautiful job of it. But I do kind of want to see, the nails growing longer, the hair coming out. Like, however, I don't know. It's part of what I love.
I think it would have interrupted in this particular movie, because it's technically an action movie as much as a horror movie.
For sure.
I think it would have taken away from the pacing, because there's no way to do it quickly without CGI.
You're right. It's true.
So by doing that and keeping the pace, it worked.
Yeah.
And having them fully transformed in a pack, because it's not often you see packs of wolves as well. It's always focused on the individual one.
Always individuals.
Having a pack of wolves as well is it's a bit overused now, obviously, but was not as used trope. So that being a pack coming after them kind of shifted the gears anyway.
Yeah.
So to focus on an individual transformation, I think would have slowed the movie down when it was just getting to that point of ramping up.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely ways of doing it. Like, as we're discussing it, like, the easiest, quickest way to do it would be, since there's a pack, showing individuals transforming at different paces, like little quick scenes of like
running through the woods or something
and shit like that. Yeah, I mean that could have worked real well. But yeah, I don't feel like it missed anything by not showing it, because it's almost like it was two separate stories that came to a head. Even though, yes, they were put there essentially as bait. until they meet up at the cabin, it's like two separate things going on.
Yeah.
At least that's how I took it.
What did you guys think about the werewolf design? Like, where's this rank for you?
Fucking beautiful.
I enjoyed them. One of my complaints, like I've been doing a lot of movie reviews lately. And my complaint with today's cinema is this homogenous amalgamation of the standard creatures. So they're like, you can't tell the difference really now between a vampire and a werewolf and a zombie. They've kind of melded these in this sort of generic sludge. And it's nice to go back to this movie where this is a werewolf. It cannot be confused with anything else but a werewolf. It's 9 foot tall. It's just wants to kill.
It looks wicked.
In beast mode. They really played nicely with the lighting because that other movie with, like I said, with Sean Pertwee, Howl, I reviewed, the werewolves were dog shit. They were horrible. They did it all great. Set in a train, so they were able to use, similar to the house, the train as a prop and a character. And when it was all dark and spooky, great. But then when you actually saw the werewolf reveal, you're just like, oh, fuck, what the hell is this?
Yeah, see, and that's my biggest complaint about almost all werewolf movies. They all look like shit. Like, even I love American Werewolf in London, but the werewolf itself, it looks weird. It's like all elongated too much, and it's not quite, it just looks strange to me. In The Howling, I thought it was decent, but you don't really get great werewolf looks because they always like do this weird, it's either like a big fat beefy bear, or it's like a weird human, like a Michael Jackson in Thriller or something, where it's not quite a werewolf, it's like a weird cat looking thing.
Yeah,
this was a
or like
monster.
Wolfman and Monster Squad.
Yeah,
like, I fucking love that movie, but that is like the weakest monster in that movie.
Yeah, it's just it's either too human or too animal or too mutant looking.
Yeah, no, these things were intimidating.
Yeah.
No, yeah, these were fucking perfect.
Yeah, great.
And you actually saw the comparison between the human, and it didn't overplay. I mean, a fit fighting human was still able to get a few shots in. Like, if you managed to get a few punches in a bear before it ripped it you to shreds, at least you'd still get a few. You know what I mean? If you're up for it, at least you get a few punches in. And they managed to play that off brilliantly. You know.
Yeah. And like, what else are you gonna do if you're dead anyway? You might as well swing. Like, fuck.
I'm not gonna cry and go meekly.
I love
it
so much.
I'm going down, but you're gonna hurt and you're gonna remember me.
This got awards. Like in 2002, it won the Brussels International Film Festival for Fantasy Films Golden Raven, which is their top award. It got the audience prize at the Pegasus. Like, if this had a theatrical release in America, it would have won awards, I think.
It would have killed.
But at the same time, though, because I know most awards now are just absolute crap, and the general public don't care, the industry cares, but we as a public don't most of the time. The fact that this has been understated and it's still around today, because the problem when people are chasing awards, that's when it becomes the friggin' fast food chain restaurant of Hollywood.
Right, yeah.
The fact that it didn't do this kind of shows that they were allowed to give the love, they were allowed to actually put the passion into it, and that's why it's still around and we can enjoy it today. You think a lot of these award-winning movies, how many get watched a second time? How many will you buy the box set for?
Well, and with the awards, like, unless it's from like different random independent film festivals, like, it's all bullshit anyways. Like, studios literally pay for the awards. So unless it has like a
awards.
Yeah, so unless it has a wreath, like, it's bullshit.
Yeah, and I think we would have gotten the sequels that were planned for it if it would have had a U.S. theatrical release, because then it would have made much more money, and it would have encouraged the producers and writers to say, okay, well, let's force this through, because as is, the producer really tried to get the sequels going.
Oh yeah, they're still talking about it now, and it's like,
well, I mean, they're pretty much saying, Neil Marshall is anyway saying that no, there's not going to be anything, but they're like, David Allen, the producer, really wants to do it still. He had like web series and stuff put together. Like, they had a whole plan of, like, the story was already existing and everything, because it was planned for a trilogy, and it all jumped off the point of Megan getting, bloodied and stuff. That was like the springboard for the trilogies to be tied back. Just never happened though.
That's a
Well,
damn
it's-
shame.
Yeah, but at
'Cause,
least
yeah,
we'll
like
have this.
just the werewolf design alone would make me come back again and again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, final scene when Fred's sake, Cooper,
Mhm.
never forgot his name for a second, goes down to the basement just before the house blows up the smithereens. And he discovers that's actually the werewolf den.
Yeah.
And then we see Ryan transformed. Captain Ryan's the bitchiest bitch of ever bitches, honestly.
Yeah.
Even in werewolf
Yeah.
form, he's still holding a personal grudge because he got one punch in the face.
Mhm.
Yeah. He's a
It's-
stupid fucking character.
That's
He really is.
Just
dumbest character ever. Even in werewolf, like he's been impaled with a sword.
well, this is what I don't understand. I get he's supposed to be like this super elite soldier. It's over. Like it's all over. He's sitting there like in a chair, slowly healing from his wounds, realizing that I am turning into a fucking werewolf.
Mhm.
And he's just drawing it out so long before he finally strikes back and becomes the creature. Like H.G. Wells changed a lot faster and started healing a lot faster and realized what was happening. So if he realized it, then Ryan should have realized it. And if Ryan realized it, why the fuck was he just sitting around so long?
I think it's just because he's a cunt. But that's really bad.
Yeah, that's
Probably. Yeah.
he's the only bitch in this film. Like honestly, the just wrote his character is a complete bitch.
Yeah.
Like I said, mustache twirling fucking Bond villain.
Mhm.
That's what they wrote. It's just very, 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 very strange.
Yeah.
Because I think actually him being the, but then maybe they didn't want to take away from this because the Sarge was the tough guy, the leader. If they had had him as the SF, proper SF commander, he'd have overshadowed Sarge.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Maybe that's why. Who knows?
Maybe they just need an
decision.
excuse to use the letter opener.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for him, they would never have used it, and then the opening scene makes no sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably about the only part of the movie, other than obviously the dog execution, that just I was not a fan of because it just seemed so random. Like it's like, God, what did I miss? Did I miss something? Did I start the movie at a weird time? So it just jumped and didn't make any goddamn sense.
No, it was just a bit of a weak plot point. Like they could have had the thing just blown up.
Yeah.
And be in the end of it.
And it doesn't even matter because at the very end he blows his head apart anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So what was the purpose of the silver fucking letter opener? Did it
to weaken him,
to make it so he could have his head blown off?
And this is where I think it happened around about the 2000s, and I think the Underworld series as well had something to do with they're taking away the magic. Like werewolves, vampires, zombies are magical creatures.
Mm-hmm.
And what they've started trying to do is bring science and look at them through the rational mind, which is okay as here and there exploration, but what they're doing is actually taking away the magic of the creature, which is why it's survived for so long as a character.
Yeah,
it's the unknown, the magic, the supernatural aspect that even a man who says prayers by night may become the wolf when the wolf beings bright. All that kind of wolf beings bloom. Blah, blah, you know what I mean? I'm fucking don't write shit down. But that whole aspect of it is being stripped away, and we'll see it happen here. They're trying to rationalize and make it scientific. And just the fact that it turns daylight and Rand turns, could have had him turn back, that would have worked. This weird fight scene at the end, I don't know. Do you think maybe if Rand hadn't survived and they just found the bits of a camp and that stupid bit of antagonism, like that scene with Cooper trying to go through selection, it was to build up this unnecessary antagonism which would not have existed. It just wouldn't have.
I mean, ultimately, if you distill it down and say, if we remove that guy and we remove the setup scene, they wouldn't have had weapons.
No, but I mean, not have them survive. Have a generic special forces team wiped out.
Right.
Yeah. And they were just, just happened to be the unlucky unit.
They're just trying to tell this broad story. You know, they're like, no, the government wants, or some organization or the military or whatever wants to capture this one werewolf that they heard about and saw trail of. So they put in the special forces team in place. They send a training team to draw them out. It's like this long, convoluted plot that never really gets fully realized or fully explained. It's just sort of like dropping little hints here and there, and you're just supposed to put it together, which you can easily, except it doesn't totally make sense. Like, who put the special forces team together that knew about the werewolves? And how did they only know about one of them, not an entire pack?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think that's a downfall of them having set this up as a trilogy.
Right.
Is I think they were like, oh, well, we'll explain it in one of the coming films.
Yeah.
And didn't get coming films. So it's like, I definitely respect filmmakers that have the intestinal fortitude to say, oh yeah, this movie I'm going to put out, no, there's going to be 3 of these motherfuckers. I'll explain everything throughout the 3. But it's a gamble, because if you don't end up doing more, you made a weak movie, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bit, and thankfully though, it doesn't make it a weak movie, because we've seen enough weak movies.
Yeah,
this is still
this one's one of the rare few that's still solid.
So it's managed to be balanced out. These plot points that kind of take you away from it a bit, because of the way the central story and the action and the fact to set up the characters and the bond and their personalities worked to overcome that, thankfully. So even the bit at the end, we're going to have a punch up at the end and stuff. It didn't take you out. It's just, you're having a laugh. You're not like going, you know what I mean? Thankfully, what do you think about them having a pet dog?
That was interesting.
I think the whole purpose of that dog existing was just to yank on the bandages that looked like intestines of fucking the sergeant. Like, I think that was the entire point of it, because they were originally going to have it be his intestines, but then they were like, no, that's too disgusting. People are going to freak the fuck out. Let's make it a bandage. But then it looks like intestines anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looked like fucking intestines,
and then they just hit. Like, the dog just kept pulling on it. No one was doing anything. He was just like, and he was like, "Oh, my stomach, stop it!" And everyone's like, "Oh, that's gross." And like, fucking do something. And Megan's holding the dog, like, "Good job." Oh no, don't do that. Good job. Like, what the fuck is going on with this dog? And then the dog doesn't even like the werewolves, but it's the owners.
I mean, dude, I got some cats that aren't my biggest fans, so I get it. They tolerate me because I feed them, but that's about it.
Yeah, some one of my birds is just he come up. If I go to talk to him, he's like, "What are you talking to me for? Just put seed in the bowl, piss off." How the other one's climbing all over me, you know what I mean? It's like chalk and cheese, but he's just like, "Get away from me, you arsehole!" Just.
I just thought it was really, really funny and weird.
Animals are funny, but it was a bit of a weird one too. Was it like a redemption arc maybe for the first scene?
Oh,
huh? I didn't think of it that way. I don't. Did the dog even survive?
Yeah, the dog survived because the dog and Cooper walk out at the end.
Oh, for some reason I thought the werewolf got him or something.
Yeah, no, they walk off into the sunset, or I guess the sunrise rather.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, weird. But overall, just overall impressions of the movie. You want to go first, Adam?
I love this film. No matter how much I nitpick it, because that's just what I do. You can't be a critical, analyzer or reviewer if you're not going to be a little critical about it. Yeah. I loved it. I think this is one of, if not the best, straight up werewolf films. It's an action film. It's just a lot of fun to watch. It's too dark, the copy I was watching, so I'm hoping that the restored versions are better. But I would definitely buy this in 4K. The new one that you got, Colin. I would definitely get that.
No, it was definitely worth it. Karen?
Yeah, I luckily I didn't see the dark version like you, so I just kept waiting for it to be too dark, and then realized, oh, cool, it's not. I adored it. It's definitely one of my all-time favorite werewolf designs. Like, I don't know how I missed this fucking movie. Like, plain and simple.
It was so understated when it came out. It really was.
Yeah, I adored it. Like it was so beautiful. It was, I mean, yeah, of course there's little problems here and there, but I mean, it's a fucking movie. No movie's perfect except for like Ernest Scared Stupid and Empire Strikes Back. But yeah, just like this is one that I'm really glad that I bought instead of just renting, because I will watch it again. And I definitely can't wait to go through the special features.
Yeah,
I wish I would have not spent less money, and I wish I would have got the new 4K versus this one, but whatever, at least I got it.
Yeah, I've watched this quite a number of times, and yeah, nitpick, and every squad he's like, that's wrong with the military stuff, but I love this movie. It's just so much fun. And it's actually a tight, even though there's like meander, it doesn't take you away. It's a tight plot, and it's straight up point A to point B, get it done. Let's fight werewolves and have fun with it, and a bit of terror as well. You know, the whole thing of soldiers all of a sudden being stripped down to an overwhelming force, but still after the initial shock, just bringing it together and going, fuck it, I'm having a go. Spoonie, even though he's a bit of a mong, is still my favorite character in this because he just doesn't give a shit. He's that one that you're always having to pick up his stuff. He's the one that when you come out of a harbour area, all his shit's lying there and you have to pick up after him. You have to fucking always be checking him to make sure he's brought what he needs. But you know, he's one of them type. But when it comes down to a fight, he's the one on your shoulder that you know will never run away, and he's there for it. You know, great characterization. Like it's his dream to see great characterization in a movie, and not these wooden planks that seem to walk in front of the screen these days.
Yeah.
Thankfully, horror, and as well, I'll always be a fan of horror, has not succumbed to the stupid shite of the other sort of genres.
I mean, there's films, but as a genre, definitely not. Yeah,
as a genre, it hasn't succumbed to the crap of the other thing. Yeah, there's always going to be elements. You know, what I mean, people at the end of the day make movies, and still filmmakers in Hollywood. You know, what I mean, they're still involved, but at the same time, there's still always time to make characters proper. Good type movies, even though we laugh at the shit ones, we'll still watch them.
Yeah.
But there's enough of these type of movies to make me still a fan of horror.
Yeah.
And
can we talk about representation really quick though? Because I'm a little upset that we've never seen a werewolf-made werewolf film. Like, if you want to talk about representation, female heroes, male heroes, you know, minority heroes, fine, great. What about werewolves? Where's our werewolf-made werewolf film?
Well, they tried that with Underworld, and they fucked it up. What was that one? The fucking fourth one?
After
in fact, Underworld Awakening, or not Awakening, Rise of the Lycans. There you go.
I don't know about
a werewolf made that movie.
Okay. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I guess. I checked out after the second one. Apparently, I'm doing it wrong.
I did too. It got weird. Like the Dark Ages stuff, I don't know. It got a little like World of Darkness, Vampire Masquerade type thing vibe. And that's fun if you're just fucking around. But when people start taking that seriously, I have to check out.
Have you played with White Wolf?
Yeah.
But
we were always like campy horror fans, and so it was always tongue-in-cheek stuff.
I had to ban White Wolf games for my gaming club.
They're just too serious.
Had to put a ban on it because they were proper, and actually it was got that bad. They're actually annoying the tabletop war gamers because they'd be fucking storming through. Like people are just playing games, and one of them would be fucking having a hissy fit, storming through. Dude, what the hell? And then eventually I just had to ban White Wolf games. So yeah, they do take it seriously. They're fucking
yeah. Well, all my friends really thought they were vampires.
Movement will get more representation.
Pinky up version of saying it.
And then what type of werewolf? Because will it discriminate against certain breeds?
Oh, see, I didn't even consider that. We need
you've opened the can of
werewolf,
worms, you know what I mean?
Wakanda forever. We need equal werewolf representation in order to get the
must
proper...
be each type of werewolf in a movie. There must be 100 werewolves to represent the 100 werewolf.
All right, never mind. It becomes
fur tones.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to let the male werewolf trope exist. Just let them dominate the industry.
No, but there was a female werewolf because it was family picture.
Around
so,
He's
not
playing.
cat dog.
Well, I did like Marshall, how he wanted to avoid all cliches about the werewolf curses. He said they were awful, and it's to be, it made being a werewolf awful. And these werewolves, sort of like in The Howling, they thrived on being werewolves.
The reveled,
yeah,
but
yeah,
that's
they enjoyed it.
the idea of the pack, as opposed to the lone wolf. I mean, the lone wolf story is a tragedy, and that's the same as a wolf gets expelled from the pack, or dogs. I mean, they're pack animals. So that was part of telling the story of not
like
having
mules.
your kin.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a subtle undertone with the werewolf story, which makes it a tragedy. This was a pack reveling in what they are. But why were they cooking dinner before they went out hunting?
I mean, it's called pre-gaming. It's like if you're gonna
Civilized
go
werewolves
to a buffet and you want to get your money's worth, you always eat a decent meal before you go. That way you've had some time for your stomach to expand, and you can just pack that son of a bitch full. It's just
that's how Americans do it.
Absolutely.
No,
that's why we're all diabetic and fat.
God, I'm getting there lately, but trying to fucking wise myself up. Well, let's wrap this up. We've been going hard at it, but there you go, folks. There's our review. As usual, with wonderful tangents. Best part of the show. We love it. Make sure you check out the movie yourself. It's well worth it. If you have any different comments, please add them. Let us know what you think. Make sure you keep an eye on our channel. Obviously, I have a live stream booked tomorrow, prior commitment, but I'll not be doing live streams the rest of the week. Obvious reasons, just not the right thing to do, but we'll be back to normal with streams. All our scheduled episodes are still going ahead, so check us out. And until next time, keep it creepy, keep it horrific.